My name is Madeline Dowd. I work in a hospital and I go to nursing school. I would like to start by saying that vaccinations are very important and a great concern to me. You may have always wondered why we get vaccinations and how they work. Well, NHS.UK states that vaccines work by making us produce antibodies to fight disease without actually infecting us with the disease. If the vaccinated person then comes into contact with the disease itself, their immune system will recognize it and immediately produce the antibodies they need to fight it. For this speech, I will concentrate on the vaccinations given to children only. Children need to get vaccinated because vaccines were created so that no one would have to die or suffer from horrible diseases. Right now, you may agree or disagree with my opinion. For a moment, I would like all of you to close your eyes and think of any time you have heard of diseases such as tetanus, pertussis, or rubella killing anyone. Now, there is a reason that you haven't heard of these deadly diseases outside of your regular doctor's appointments. Vaccinations. Along with better living conditions and public health improvement, these diseases are almost non-existent in America today. First, I will provide information on when your child should receive vaccinations. I will give you information behind all the diseases that the vaccinations will be preventing, followed by why I think everyone should get vaccinated if the disease themselves are not scary enough. Here's the vaccination timeline. At birth, the CDC, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, recommends that infants receive the Hep B vaccine within the first 12 hours of life. At 8 weeks old, the CDC states that babies should receive the 6-in-1 vaccine. This vaccine holds the vaccination of 6 diseases all in one to cut down on shots. Pneumococcal PCV13 vaccine, the rotavirus vaccine, Men-B or the meningitis B vaccine. At 12 weeks old, the CDC states that the children should receive 6-in-1 vaccine, the second dose, or a titer, which is something that helps boost the immune system rather than a full dose of the vaccination, and rotavirus vaccine, the second dose as well. At 16 weeks, the CDC recommends that children should receive 6-in-1 vaccine, their third dose, pneumococcal PCV13 vaccine, their second dose, and the Men-B vaccine, their second dose. At 1 year old, the CDC recommends that children receive the Hep B Men-C vaccine, this is given as a single shot containing vaccines against meningitis C and Haemophilus influenza type B, measles, mumps, and rubella, which is also called MMR vaccine, the pneumococcal PCV13 vaccine, their third dose, and meningitis B vaccine, their third dose. At 2 to 8 years, the CDC recommends that children receive the children's flu vaccine annually from there on out, the MMR vaccine second dose, and finally the 4-in-1 booster given as a single shot containing vaccines against diphtheria, tetanus, whooping cough, also called pertussis, and polio. This may seem like an overwhelming amount of shots to be giving little tiny babies. The good news is that many of these shots can be spread out to the parents' liking, with exclusions from the Hep B first shot. That must be given within the first 12 hours of life, or the vaccine will not be as effective. This information usually eases parents who are first-time parents, who may be afraid of giving too many shots to their first child. Working with your child's physician will be the best option to preventing deadly diseases from affecting your child. Here are some of the diseases that vaccinations help to prevent. The varicella vaccine prevents chickenpox, and the CDC states that the disease complications are infected blisters, bleeding disorders, encephalitis, which is brain swelling, and pneumonia, infection of the lungs. Tdap vaccine prevents against diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, and the CDC states that this disease has complications such as swelling of the heart muscle, heart failure, coma, paralysis, pneumonia, broken bones, breathing difficulty, heart attack, and death. The Hib vaccine protects against Haemophilus influenza type B, and the CDC states that this disease has complications such as meningitis, which is the infection of the covering around the brain and spinal cord, intellectual disability, epiglottis, which is life-threatening infection that can block the windpipe and lead to serious breathing problems, pneumonia, and death. The MMR vaccine protects against measles, mumps, and rubella, and the CDC states that these diseases have complications such as meningitis, encephalitis, inflammation of testicles or ovaries, deafness, pneumonia, and death. Rubella specifically can be very serious in pregnant women and can lead to miscarriage, stillbirth, premature delivery, and birth defects. IPV is a vaccine that prevents against polio, and the CDC states that this disease has complications such as paralysis and death. PCV13 vaccine protects against pneumococcus. The CDC states that the contracting this disease could cause complications such as bacteremia, which is a blood infection, meningitis, and death. The RV vaccine protects against rotavirus. The CDC states that contracting this disease could cause complications such as severe diarrhea or dehydration. Severe diarrhea and dehydration may not seem life-threatening a complication as death, but a baby is almost entirely made up of water. Ira R. Bjork, MD, a doctor, states that dehydration caused by diarrhea is one of the biggest single killers of children in the modern world, and diarrhea itself is one of the major causes of nutritional loss and poor growth. This year, about 2.2 million children will die of dehydration caused by diarrhea, 80% of them in the first 2 years of their life. Choosing to give your child a shot can be scary for some parents. I know that after the information I have just shared with you, that your choice has been made easier by saving your child from possible death. Vaccinations are here to save lives and help everyone lead lives without added infection or disease. Here are some of the personal reasons as to why I think you should get your children vaccinated. So pro number one for vaccinations would be that it is a medicine that could potentially prevent premature death to your children. Imagine if Imagine if you didn't get your child vaccinated and they contracted tetanus from playing barefoot outside. Now imagine 1 week passes and you're planning your child's funeral. MedlinePlus.gov stated that without treatment, 1 in 4 infected people die. The death rate of newborns with untreated tetanus is even higher. With proper treatment, less than 15% of infected people die from tetanus. Pro number two to getting your child vaccinated. For vaccinations is that your child will not have to live with disease complications. For example, the disease complication from polio is complete paralysis. Polio is disease from the past, but without vaccination, imagine having to put your child into an iron lung or forcing a breathing tube down their throats so that they can properly breathe. Pro number 3 for vaccinating your child is to prevent other children from contracting the disease your child may be carrying. Many diseases can be contracted by the air we breathe or sputum, which is snot and spit and saliva. For example, if your child has natural immunity to whooping cough or pertussis and is a carrier of the disease and then brings this to school where other children may not be vaccinated or have low immunity, then your child would be the reason the other children got sick. What if your child got another child sick because they both were not vaccinated and the other child had to go to the hospital or died? This is a consequence that could easily be avoided by getting vaccinations. The Mayo Clinic states that whooping cough is very serious, especially for babies and young kids. Whooping cough can cause pneumonia, seizures, brain damage, and death. Babies younger than 1 year of age who get whooping cough may be hospitalized or even die. So in conclusion, I have provided you with an abundance of information about why your child needs to get vaccinated, when you should start vaccinations, and when they need to be completed to be most effective, and the consequences that may happen if you do not get your child vaccinated today. Thank you.